All right guys, today we are going to be installing a package of pure Russian bees. These bees were raised down in the area of Louisiana. I picked them up in Grayson County this morning. Our goal is to get them into this deep hive body. Some tools we got hanging out over here, a couple frames we pulled out from the middle of it. These frames, most of them have been bailed out by previous bees, and I've had them just chilling in my freezer this winter so that something called a wax moth doesn't get into them and tear them up too bad. We got a smoker over here that's already lit and ready to roll. We've got our inside cover, our outside cover, and some gloves I'm getting ready to put on. I'm gonna try to get you set up over here so that you can see everything as best as possible. No guarantees that it's gonna work super duper well, but you'll at least be along for a little bit of the video, given the occasion it doesn't crash out on us. All right. So the first thing that we are going to do is get our queen out. This is our pure Russian queen. She's been marked with a blue dot, I believe, on her back. She's in a cage. On the back side of this cage, hopefully if it's coming into view, you'll see it's like a tiny piece of candy that's in there. And the other worker bees will start to eat out that piece of candy. And in that time frame, they've been acclimated to all of her aromas and scents that she gives off into the hive. Now what can happen, you can have a foreign queen try to come in and other bees not be used to her, and they will kill her because they see her as an invader. So this gives them time, by eating out that tiny piece of candy, to realize that she is not an invader, that she's pretty awesome, and we're gonna accept her as our queen. So what I'm gonna do is wedge her in between a couple different frames, given the occasion that they don't break out. They seem to be a little bit soft here. I'm just gonna mash a spot into some of the honeycomb and wedge her in, like I said, between two of the frames, and they'll start to work in to get her. That's our goal. We'll wedge out a little bit more of those frames right there. All right, so our queen is wedged into place. I'm gonna bring you into view over here. And this is what she looks like in between two frames. So she's just gonna hang out in there. The bees will be able to feed her in between that wire mesh. And you can see maybe a little bit of that blue dot that's on her if it's coming into focus. So I've removed two frames from the inside of this hive body, and I'm gonna set our package of bees, which is here, on top of that, and they're going to start to work their way inside of it. So in order to make that happen, let's see, I'm going to need to put that right there. I need to grab something to prop you up with. So I will be right back. We're going to grab a couple things over from our other hive. So you should be set up to roll there, and we'll get ready to get set up to roll over here. I'm gonna leave my smoke chilling right here. Smoke calms the bees down, lets them know that they are not in any danger at all. All things are good to go. All right, last systems check. Make sure everything is good and zipped up here. Now, Russian bees, from what we've read and learned, me as being myself and my bee mentor, which is my wife's grandpa, Russian bees are going to be able to produce maybe a little bit more honey. Maybe able to start to see some of those bees come out. This is all a bunch of feed in the top of this. I'm going to shake them down into there. All right. I'm going to start to work these bees out of the package gently. They're just going to start to pour out. These bees will be able to produce a little bit more honey. They are more resistant to disease. Disease kills a lot of bees across the world. They're more resistant to a mite. A mite is the danger of bees. There are a couple different types of mites, one called a tracheal mite, the other one called a varroa. It's actually a varroa destructor is the name of it. It's really bad news for bees. And this strand of Russian bees is really resistant to that. All right, so I'm gonna set this and let it chill right there. I'm gonna give them a few puffs of smoke. Again, this helps just calm them down a little bit. All right. Now the good thing about these frames is they've already been built out with a little bit of honey, so those bees are gonna start to work down in there, and the smoke creates in them, kind of triggers them to go down and start feeding on a little bit of honey because they feel like they may be getting robbed. So you can see everything that just came out of that package for the most part is spilled down here into the middle where we removed those two frames. The queen is chilling out over here. If you notice, there's a cluster of bees that's hanging out on her right now. They're gonna be tending to her, and they're to stay in this box because the queen is in this box. So one thing that I need, all right, try not to go sideways camera here. Lost our video feed, but we're back. One thing that I forgot is our brush. So I'm gonna run and grab a brush real quick. I'll be back momentarily. All right, this brush is really good because it's going to help us sweep down some of these bees. And give that another good shake and allow us to get the frames in place. There we go. I'll leave that right there for just a moment. And frames that we're going to be grabbing are over here. Already built out some that has some honey on them already. We're going to sweep those down just inside here gently. That's what's really good about this brush, is you don't really harm the bees at all by sweeping them into place. All right, this is a 10-frame hive body. It's a Langstroth hive, but I've got a spacer inside of it, 2 metal spacers, to where they give you the exact spacing to where the bees can build it out just a little bit more. So instead of 10 frames, I've got 9. The spacer gives me 9. And it takes out all of the guesswork of getting everything lined up exactly to where it needs to be. All right, so coming back into view over here. Everything is now into place. I'm gonna put our package back up here into the front and sweep down some of these bees and get this cover on it as best we can. We're gonna leave it open for a little bit just to give the bees some time to acclimate and work their way out of this package. And they're gonna start to do that because of all the lovely honey that's in here. I'm gonna smoke them. Just gonna cause them to go down a little bit. This smoking them kind of gives you two ways. One way, I can smoke them off the top here, and I'm gonna slide this lid into place. And if they're not really responding to this well, then I'm gonna use the brush, try to brush them down. Due to this being a package of bees, it's about 4 pounds of bees, which is, I would have to go back and look at it. I wanna say it's between 10 to 20,000 bees maybe within those 4.5 pounds that has the queen. I wanna salvage as much as possible. I'm gonna switch you to, just a moment, I'm gonna show you the rest of the bee yard, which is the back part of our lot here where I live in Elizabethtown. And you're gonna see 2 of these hive bodies. These are called deeps. They come into sizes when you're referring to the hives and their sizes. And you have a deep, a medium, and a shallow. Your shallows and mediums are oftentimes used for honey storage and collection. And see, we just slide that on there, and that minimizes the amount of bee deaths that take place when you replace. This is called an inside cover. Now, what's really cool about these bees is they will start to create a paste called propolis, and that paste will seal down all of the covers and the lids so that it kind of prevents things like ants and hive beetles from getting down inside. Now, hive beetles still are an issue. Ants still are an issue, and you take care of those things along the way. It's just part of beekeeping. I was telling my wife's grandfather earlier, I said it's surprising these things survived in the wild without us all this time, because we feel like we're constantly trying to treat for mites, treat for hive beetles, wax moths, weevils, a variety of different things. So these bees are set to go for now. We're in a shaded spot that's over here. Inside of this package, there was this feed syrup, almost like a jelly consistency. And that's what was getting all the bees to clump up together, in addition to the queen being in there. So if you notice, they have their entrance over here to the front, and everything that they need is in place. So I'm gonna come over, grab the camera again, show you what's going on here. So bees enter and exit this area. Now, if you notice, there are some dead bees that are down on the bottom, and that just happens due to transportation of what's going on with this package. So what will be really cool, tomorrow morning I'll come out here and there will be a bunch of dead bees in front of the hive right here. Not necessarily that is the cool part, but the cool part is that the bees clean this up. So even with any of this honeycomb that may need to be reworked, they're gonna rework that. They're gonna clean it out, and they're gonna push all that trash to the end of the hive, and then they're gonna blow it out with their wings, and it's gonna dump out here. They will carry the dead bees to the end as well, and then just kind of nudge them over, kind of like the last stand. One of the things that I have created down here on the bottom, this is a mud pan to mix up concrete. This gives it kind of a little bit of an island. It's standing on some cinder blocks, and that helps keep down ants and hive beetles as well, because they would have to swim across. Currently it's covered up in leaves because this was not a stand that was being used. It died out last fall. So I need to clean that out this afternoon for everything to get set. Also, it gives the bees something to drink water from as well. So they seem to be pretty set. We've got a brick that's up here so that this inside cover doesn't blow off so far. We're gonna give them a couple hours to work their way out of that package, and then we're gonna come in, scoot this inside cover all the way to the end, and put our other lid on it over here. So let's walk down to the rest of the bee yard, and I'll show you what's going on. So with these 4 pounds of bees, one of the things about what I was talking about kind of in weight and what you estimate and how many bees you have, that may be between 10 to 20,000 bees. So this is the strongest hive that we have in our bee yard right now. And I just added this medium super to it. And you can kind of see all the sizes that works here. This main top one, this is a shallow. So it's the smallest box that you can get. And then right underneath that, this one is a medium. So I put this medium on. These are your honey producers. All the honey is going to be stored up here. So then when we go to extract it, we're going to be extracting from these. The bottom two, I'm running 2 deeps down here for hive bodies. So that enables the queen to lay that many more bees. Each of those hive bodies down on the bottom, those deeps, will hold between 40 to 60,000 bees. So I'm looking at 40 to 60,000 bees here, 40 to 60,000 bees here. Bees that are working to fill this with honey stores up at the top. This one was close to full. When I looked at it earlier, this one could be getting close to full. Due to the way that this is created, this bottom board, this baseboard down here, it's a little bit unstable, so I've got a ratchet strap that's on it right now. You can kind of see the flight of the bees that's taking place over here. There's something on the front of it. That glass quart jar is a feeder, so you fill that up with a mixture of sugar and water. That helps sustain the bees when there is no nectar that's coming in. Usually we will do that in the fall and in the spring. Some people will feed during the wintertime. It just depends on how their stores are. This is one of the strongest ones that we have. I mean, you can get down here and see this is the best hive that we've had. It produced 3 swarms last year, so we had 3 other stands of bees. Unfortunately, those ended up dying due to a variety of different things. But you notice them coming in and out and just totally filling up this whole area. Now, if I hang this camera here long enough, you may get to see some of the bees that come in. They will have yellow clumps on their leg because they've been out collecting the nectar and the pollen, and they store that on their back legs. So I'm hanging here just for a second to see if we have any of those that come in. Not necessarily seeing any in this moment. Still kind of early for the day for them to be out and collecting all that. But definitely a strong hive here. Now, these are a variety of different breeds. These were not purchased as a package. Like, oh, we just seen one that came in with their legs covered up in yellow. It's crazy when you see that total yellow clumps that are there. Seeing a few more there. Sorry, I'm getting distracted as we're checking these bees out. This was not purchased from a package. This was a swarm that my wife's grandpa had off of one of his hives. And he gifted that to my son, and we started our beekeeping journey from there. So these are probably a native more so of Kentucky because they've swarmed out numerous times. They have had some troubles with the other swarms, like I said, dying from mites and beetles and a variety of different things, which is why we wanted to try out the Russian bees this year for that package. Hopefully you're able to see this. If you slow down this footage just a little bit, you'll see those bees that are coming in that are absolutely just loaded down with the pollen and going into the hive and to work that out. So they have completely drank that sugar water dry syrup is what we call it in the beekeeping world. I'm probably going to pull that off. I don't think they necessarily need it right now because they have so much honey stores that's going on in there. Hopefully the queen is continuing to lay this full of little drone bees and worker bees, and this is getting packed full of honey. Looking over here, this is one that is phased out already. I'm running out of garage space right now, so it's just chilling here. Doesn't necessarily have any bees that are in it right now. A couple apple trees that are back here that we grafted in a few years ago and planted. The bees have been working those rather well. So this is kind of our bee yard and what we're looking at this far. This one is set off over here where we put it. For this package, I wanted to try to keep it as separated as possible. This one is super strong, and they could notice that where this one is building theirself up just a little bit, they could actually come in and rob it of what little bit of honey stores are there, and then they would die. And that would be super sad because we're really trying to build this up over here. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. I can't really get this camera flipped in a great way, so I'm not sure if you can see me. Hello out there into the world of, I don't know what platform we'll share this on, maybe YouTube. So cool deal. Hopefully you've enjoyed the installation of the Russian bee package this morning, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys. All right, we had a call for swarm today. Said it was on the ground. When I thought on the ground, I meant in a bush. Thought I meant in a bush by the ground. These bees are literally on the ground. Not really sure what to do, so we set the box beside the bees, and it's like the bees go marching one by one. Hurrah, hurrah. So we're gonna hang here for a second, see if we can get them all marched into the hive. Smoke the ground a little bit, make sure that the queen is not there. Hopefully, as they're starting to go in there, we have some fresh honey stores that they're able to stay. So fingers crossed, we'll see how this turns.